Hi guys! So there is another Cold Diary day, and the story that I'm going to tell you happened some time ago, but I still recall it to this day. And I've been thinking that it would be great to share it with you because I think you might love it. This story will be about my boyfriend again, of course, because his calls are so strong and simply the best. So sit back, get comfortable, and let's get started. It was late autumn and the weather was so cold and rainy, and we were spending a lot of time in the classroom surrounded by a huge amount of people. People in the city were all sneezy due to the cold season, but we were healthy. One evening after classes, my boyfriend was about to come to my dorm to visit me. We wanted to cook some meals in the dorm kitchen, watch some movies in the room, and simply decompress together after studying all day. When the time came, he knocked at my door, and as I opened the door, the first thing I noticed was his slightly red nose. At that time, I didn't really assume he could have a cold because the weather was still cold and his nose is very sensitive. So I'm kinda used to his nose getting red quite often. So he entered the room, and as soon as he took his jacket off, he started to look for tissue in his pocket. He blew his nose quite wetly. I started to be a little bit suspicious, but I decided to just wait what the rest of the evening is going to give me. I asked him if he is hungry and if he wants to start cooking right now. And I also asked him if we are going to make a meal with the meat or if we are going to have some plant-based meal. He said what he wanted, and then we moved to the kitchen and we were cooking together. So we were standing in the kitchen, and I was cutting some vegetables at that time, and I was turned away from him because he was looking for some ingredients on the other side of the kitchen. I could hear that his nose was full again. He was sniffling, and I actually think that he had no idea that he was this loud. I turned my head to look at him, and I told him that I have some tissues in the room if he needs some, because I noticed that he's getting a little bit uncomfortable with the runny nose. And then he said, "Yeah, I might use some. I think it's the spicy seasoning in the air. My nose is acting up." Then he went to look for the tissues to the room, and I was telling to myself in my head, "Oh yeah, seasoning." I actually didn't really believe that it was seasoning, but whatever. After a few minutes, he came back with the tissues and with the hoodie on. The kitchen was so warm because of cooking, and he still felt like wearing an extra layer. Like, guys, tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't really think that spicy seasoning is making you cold. I decided to add some extra garlic and chili into the meal because he looked like he needed some. Then he was putting meals on the plates, and suddenly his face looked so desperate. He quickly handed me a plate to free his hands, and he turned around and released three strong sneezes. And do you know what he said after it? He said, "Oh, the meal is really going to be spicy." And I was just standing and looking at him with the plate in my hands. I said, "Bless you, babe. I added some garlic and chili. You seem to need it. But I really think that you would sneeze even if there wasn't anything spicy." He was just standing there looking confused. After it, we came back to the room and we started to eat. He was sniffling the whole time, and then he cleared his throat. "My throat is getting sore because of that seasoning. I'm gonna make some tea. Do you want some?" he asked me, and I said, Oh no, I'm gonna make the tea. You stay under the blanket. And I got up to boil the water. While I was preparing the tea, he sneezed again, 4 times. I blessed him and didn't comment on his sneezing. After it, he blew his nose. He got hot tea and immediately started to drink it. When he finished the tea, he was even more sniffly than before. I asked him if the tea helped with his throat, and he told me that a little bit, but that the meal had to be very strong because it still hurts him to swallow. He said it really, really innocently, and I told him that I don't think that it was the meal what made his throat sore, and I put my hand on his forehead. He seemed really surprised and he asked me, "What am I doing?" And I told him that his forehead is warm and that I think that he is getting cold. He completely denied it by saying that it was the spicy seasoning and the tea what made him congested and warm. After it, I turned on the movie and we were lying in the bed, cuddling a little bit, and he coughed a few times. I always looked at him with a worried look on my face, and he always said that he is okay. Also, the sneezing continued. He sneezed 3 times right into the blanket during the movie. After each set of sneezing, I blessed him, of course, because I could do it during that time. I felt that his skin was hot, but he stayed in his hoodie and was covered by the blanket. I told him that he is obviously sick and that he should take a day off tomorrow. He again denied it and still was saying that it had to be the spicy meal and the tea. When the evening was turning into the nighttime, he left my room to go to the sleep in his dorm. And when we kissed goodbye, his nose was cold, despite the fact that it was super warm in the room. I gave him some aspirin so that he can take a pill if he feels bad at night. And he put it in his pocket and told me that he is not going to need it. In the morning, I woke up to a text from him saying he has a cold. And that's all for today. He was sick for a week, and I actually wasn't even happy that I was right the whole time because he felt miserable during the cold. So, okay, let me know in the comments below if you like the story, and have a nice rest of the day. Bye!